All right, guys, so let's finish solving this thing. We need to combine like terms in our numerator. I have like terms highlighted. I have that negative 2x cubed minus a negative 4x cubed, and that will give us a positive 2x cubed. And then we have that negative 72 minus a positive 44. So both of those in short are negative. And I have both of those again is negative, so I can combine those. And that gives me 216. So that would be a negative 216x divided by x squared plus 36 cubed. And so once we get to this step, there's, well, I can take this a bit further. I can factor out that greatest common factor in that numerator. I see that both 2x cubed and 216 x are both divisible by 2x. And so that will leave me with x squared minus 108. Yes. And then divide that by, we're going to leave that denominator the same. And so once you get to this step with your second derivative, you want to determine where that second derivative is equal to 0 and where that second derivative does not exist. Well, this second derivative exists everywhere for the very same reason that the first derivative exists and that the original function exists everywhere. So we're not going to consider that, and I'm not going to talk much more about that because we've already discussed that. But I can also, for this, I can find where this function is equal to 0. I can take each of those factors in my numerator, and I can set those equal to 0. And if I do that, I get 2x is equal to 0 and x squared minus 108 is equal to 0. Here, if I divide both sides by 2, that leaves me with x is equal to 0. And here, if I bring that 108 to the other side, that leaves me with x squared is equal to 108. I can take the square root of both sides of this equation, and that leaves me with x is equal to the square root of 108. Now, I can't leave that as the square root of 108. I need to divide that. I need to simplify that radical. And the way that I do that, I use the most simple method, is by doing a simple factor tree. I know that 4 times 27 gives me 108, or you could start with whatever two factors you want to begin with, but you will end in the same place. I know that 2 times 2 gives me 4, 9 times 3 gives me 27. Bring these factors down. 9 breaks up into 3 times 3, and then I have that other 3. And what I do here is I circle pairs. So I have a 3, so that means I can bring out a 3. I have a 2, I can bring out a 2. But what is not circled, what I do not have pairs of, that stays inside my radical. So this becomes 6 square roots of 3. So better yet, I just realized I did not put my positive and negative there. Remember, when you take the square root, we have positive and negative. So when I simplify this, what I really end up with is positive and negative 6 square roots of 3. So these are 3 inflection points that we are going to have with this function. This is where they occur. But I think, yes, they're asking for the actual points. So what we need to do is find Q of 0. We need to find Q of 6 square roots of 3. And we also need to find Q of a negative 6 square roots of 3. And I can't quite remember what that function was. I've did so much. So the original function was x divided by x squared plus 36. So for 0, that's just going to give us 0. So we have an inflection point at 0, 0. For 6 square roots of 3, that would give me 6 square roots of 3 divided by 6 square roots of 3 squared plus 36. Let's erase this factor tree that I have there so we have some room to work. Let's see, I can simplify the denominator. If I square 6, that gives me 36. And if I square that square root of 3, that gives me 3. And if I multiply 36 times 3, that's going to give me 108. So that gives me 108 plus 36. And if I add that, that will give me 6 square roots of 3 divided by 144. And I think I can simplify that. I think both 6 and 144 are both divisible by 6. So that would leave me with just a square root of 3 on top and 24 on the bottom. And I'm pretty sure that my second point down here will work very similarly. We're going to get very similar outcome there, but we will work it out just to show you guys the steps. So that will leave me with a negative 6 square roots of 3 in my numerator. And in the denominator, of course, we're going to have the same thing. And so that gives me a negative 6 square roots of 3 over 144, which gives me a negative square root of 3 over 24. So the points there that I have are 6 square roots of 3 and the square root of 3 over 24 and the negative 6 square root of 3 and negative square root of 3 over 24. And if we go back, that is exactly what they were looking for.